How do you have a deep coaching conversation with someone you don't even know? Let's use a case study. So Joanne's been referred to you. She's a friend with a current client. Somebody you know says she should speak to you, and you put it out there to her. Look, let's do some deep work. It's the only way I work. It's not a 20-minute taster session. Let's block out 2 hours. Let's go for a really deep, powerful conversation. And she said yes. And now the call's about to begin, or the session's about to begin. Where do you go? How do you go on that journey? I want to lead you through some of the steps that I realize that I take somebody through on this journey. Not as a formula. Nothing I teach is a formula, because in the moment with the person you're with, in that moment, you'll go where you go. But I was reflecting on the themes that tend to show up when I'm working with somebody in this deep way, someone who I might not really know. So Joanne's our case study, and Joanne gets on the call. So some of this I'll role play, and some of this I'll talk to you and narrate it. So Joanne gets on the call. Step number 1, rapport. You've got to build some connection with her. You've got to get into a place where you both relax a little bit. And especially if she's been referred to you, if you've never really connected before, you want a chance to break the ice a little bit. Hey, how you doing, Joanne? What's going on? Tell me about your friendship with so-and-so who referred you. How long have you guys known each other? I might say, have you ever had coaching before? Do you even know what coaching is, Joanne? I might say, how's life? What's going on? Maybe I'd even go here, like trying to get a sense of what she might be feeling. I'm imagining you might be feeling this is a little bit strange for you, Joanne. Are you feeling a bit nervous, a bit unsure? Like, who am I even speaking to? What am I even doing? I want to capture some of the thoughts that might be going on in her head and put them out there. So if that's what she's really feeling, she can relax and go, oh, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. And if she's not, then we can just be present. So something to build a little bit of connection, something to build a little bit of rapport between us so we can both relax a little bit, breathe a little bit. I might even speak my truth. Hey, Joanne, your friend Rebecca speaks so highly of you, I was a bit intimidated to even speak to you. Or, hey, Joanne, Rebecca hasn't even told me much about you. So I'm on this call today. I want you to know that whatever you're feeling, whatever's going on your side over here, I'm a bit unsure. I don't even know you. So just speaking my mind to bring a deeper connection between the two of us so we can really connect. That's rapport, number 1. Number 2, context. We've got this little bit of connection between us and we're both relaxed a little bit. I want to set the context for this call. I want Joanne to understand what this is about, because let's be honest, even if she's had coaching, chances are, based on the fact that most people don't know how to coach powerfully, that the bar's so low for entry to coaching that most people are just having a chat, I want to give her some context for the work that I do. So, Joanne, let me tell you a little bit about what I envisage for this conversation today. What I do is deep coaching. I'm going to create a space where we can go really deep together. If you choose, you can always choose to hold back if you don't want to go in a certain direction. But I want to create something really powerful. Now, I've blocked out 2 hours for you. And I just want to check in. What's the situation on timing for you? Now, I do that because even if I've said in the email we're blocking out 2 hours, people sometimes miss that. They're not used to that, they're not ready for that, or something's come up. And they'll say, you know what, I've actually got 90 minutes, or I've got a call in an hour's time. And then I know, and then we can create something clear between us. Once we've got the timing handled, then it's really the context for the conversation. So I might say something like this. And you'll see me doing this in this video today because none of this is planned. It has to be in the moment. It's a little bit artificial doing it right now, by definition. So when I close my eyes, I'm imagining being with somebody. So Joanne, what I do is deep coaching. It's powerful and it's impactful. And to be quite frank, it's life-changing. Now, you can breathe a little bit, you can relax. It's not always as intense as it can sound. We can have a sense of fun as we talk together. But I want to invite you to go on this journey with me, to go somewhere where you're open to thinking about things that you may not have thought about before, that you're open to even the way you see your world right now being challenged. That there are new possibilities out there for you that you haven't even seen until now. And that's the journey I'd like to take you on. So before we go there, before we dive into this deep coaching, what I'd love to do, Joanne, is to create some agreements between us so you and I are on the same page. Here are some of the agreements. The first is a simple distinction for me. When we talk over the next couple of hours, I'm going to be here showing up to serve you, not to please you. Now let me explain what that means. If I was here to please you, I'd be saying the things that you want to hear. I'd be saying the things that I would hope that if you hear them, then you'd like me. But the power of my coaching comes from the fact that I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to be my friend, and you don't need me to be your friend. We have our own friends, right? When we're in a coaching conversation, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to say what I might even be afraid to say, or at least uncomfortable to say. And that's how I get to serve you the most powerfully. Are you okay with that? How does that sound? I'll often put these little pieces on at the end, just to keep checking in. How does that feel for you, Joanne? Are you okay with that? Just so I'm not overloading her with information, I'm just keep checking in. She might not understand, she might need some clarity. The next agreement, Joanne, is what I do is what I sometimes call high flame coaching. So that means we can turn up the flame, turn the dial and the flame goes higher on the coaching. Now that doesn't look like me berating you, but what it might look like, as I mentioned earlier, me challenging the way that you see your world. You ever had a girlfriend who gets really frustrated with the men that she's dating, that they all seem to be the same kind of guy, they all treat her the same way, and then finally she brings along a new guy, and she says, Joanne, you've got to meet this guy. He's different to all the others. And you finally meet him, and he's like every other guy she's ever dated. And you try telling her, and she can't hear you. She's like, no, you don't understand. This guy's different. And when finally he does that thing that she always hates, and they finish 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years later, and she comes back to you and says, why didn't you tell me? We often can't hear it when our friends are trying to tell us what's going on in our world. The power of sitting down with a coach, the power of what I call high flame coaching, is that if you're open to it, I'll be willing to say the things that even make me feel uncomfortable, that will challenge your assumptions, challenge the way that you see the world. And when you change the way that you see the world, your world changes. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with what I call high flame coaching, knowing that you can always turn the flame down? At any moment you can say, Rich, this is a bit intense. Or Rich, I'm not ready to go to this place yet. You run the show, but knowing that there's a willingness over here to keep turning up the dial, just to have you leaning into your edge. How does that sound to you? The third agreement is what I call authenticity. It's that I'm going to hide nothing and hold nothing back. I'm human just like you. I have my blocks, my limiting beliefs, my struggles in life. And where they're relevant, I'm not going to hide them from you. And I request and I ask that you do the same. That you practice hiding nothing in this conversation. Because if you're going to try and hide, come from that place of, well, I better look good in front of the person who's coaching me, there's no point in us having a conversation. It's only going to serve us deeply if you're willing to dive in as deep as I am. If you're willing to hide nothing and hold nothing back. Are you up for that? Good. My experience is that when I ask people that question, almost I don't think I've ever had anybody say no. But I like to make the invitation. And I like to explain why, and I like to do it gently, and offer them the possibility to say no, so they feel in control. So we've built some rapport, we've started to connect. I put a context on this conversation, where we're going, created some agreements. And then I might add something else in. Once I've created this sense of safety, you know what? Actually, I'm just pausing for a second. I think the first thing I would do at this point is to say, Joanne, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything that's not clear? Is anything you want to ask? Anything that you want as an agreement between us? I think that's actually worth putting in at that point. Just so it's not too much information led from me at the beginning. And Joanne can say, oh yeah, I've got this question or that, or I'm okay, I'm good. Then I'd go into what I call Safeporting. S-A-F-E, Safeport. I want to gently lead her into where we're going next. So, Joanne, I want to check in with you if you're okay to dive in this deep. And we've got to that place, and then I'll say to her, look, let me tell you where we're going to go in this conversation. We're going to spend the next 90 minutes or so diving in really deep. After about 90 minutes, sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's later, we're probably going to pause. And at that point, I'm going to pause to check in with you. What are the top 1 or 2 insights you've had? What are the things that might even be life-changing after this one single conversation? And then, one of probably 3 different things can occur. One is, you're good. Like, this really was a life-changing conversation, and from that place, if your life has shifted, why spend any more time together? That's it. You're good to go. 2, we've spent time together, and as a result of what you've shared and what's come up for you, I have some ideas that there's some resources I can refer you to. There's a book I'll recommend. There's even someone to work with that I'll actually suggest to you. Like, actually spend some time with this person. They'd be really great for you. The third thing, and this one might come from you or from me, is that you might have this idea, wow, this guy wasn't kidding. We really did have a life-changing conversation, and I want more. You might be asking yourself, I wonder what it would look like if we had a conversation like this week after week, month after month, and we spent an extraordinary amount of time together. And then if you ask me, we might talk in that moment, or we might talk at another time about what would it look like if you and I were to work together. And every once in a while, if I sense something in the person I'm talking to, if I sense something in you where I think, wow, I need to let Joanne know. I need to let her see, like, this has been one conversation, but we can wrap this up in a box, or we can say, wonder what would happen if we take this down the road together. And if I have that sensation, I don't want to hold that back too. And I'll put that out there as a possibility that we could talk about today or on another occasion. And those are the 3 things that might occur at the end of the deep coaching time we spent together. Are you okay with that? So notice what I'm doing. I'm giving Joanne this sense of safety that she knows where we're going on this journey together. And that she knows there's some possibilities that might occur at the end. Now, I don't always do this. None of this is prescription. None of this is that do this. A lot of this, it's an important distinction actually between description and prescription. I'm describing a lot of the things that I do. In the moment, you'll have to see, what does your heart tell you to do? What does your intuition tell you to do? What does your client tell you about the way you should go? Okay, next, deep coaching. Now it's time to dive in. So here's where I might say, that's great, Joanne. And now we get to begin. So thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being here with me on this journey. Let's play. And what I want to do is I want to take you into the future, Joanne. I want to take you 12 months into the future. It's May the 22nd, 2016. And you call me up. I pick up the phone, you say, Rich, I'm glad I caught you. You know what? You really weren't kidding, Rich. When you told me back then, I was a little bit skeptical when you said this could be a life-changing conversation. But you weren't kidding. And a year has gone by since we spoke. And in that year, extraordinary things have happened. In that year, I've stepped into my power. This is what I'm creating. This is who I'm being. This is what I'm doing. This is what I see. This is what I hear. And this is what I feel on the inside right now. A year from the day that we first spoke. So Joanne, if you were going to make that call, and I picked up the phone right now, what would you be saying to me? Tell me about the extraordinary life you've created, who you've become, what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. You've probably heard this kind of question from me many times. You see, there is no such thing as the past or the future. We live in the past because our stories are running us, and we live in the future dreaming or wishing or hoping or afraid of what might come next. But all we have is this moment. So that future that my clients come to me for, those things they desire, dream of, wish for, want to create, don't exist anywhere other than here, right now. The purpose of me asking that question is to take them into that future self, into that future experience, have them see, hear, feel on the inside what they'd be creating in a year's time. But there's only one place they can experience all that, and that's right here, right now. So that place they think that they are getting to is actually a place they're coming from. I'm having them get there right now. So they are closer to whatever they think is out a year down the road than they could ever imagine. Because all we ever have is this moment. And when they embody that right now, they are here. I don't believe in goals out there in the future. A goal is a place to come from. And that's what I'm taking my clients to in that conversational question, that question that takes them into the future, is actually creating that right now. Where do I go next? Well, this is what gets more complex, and I can't really role play this in a conversation. I'm going to pause this in a moment. I wanted to take you into a deep coaching conversation. You want to see what more deep coaching looks like? Watch any of my other videos where you see me coaching people deeply. Where would I go next? I might ask, well, having shared their future, bring them back into this moment. Like, well, where should we go today? What would you like to get? Or there's a document I created with 121 powerful questions. I'll put a link to it below. So you could ask any of those questions. You can give the document to them if you wanted to and say, pick a question. It doesn't really matter. Just take them deep on this coaching journey. It's your magic. It's what you do. That's when you get to coach. What I've wanted to do today is take you through what it might look like to spend time with somebody who you don't even know in a safe way, in a powerful way, in an extraordinary way, to allow them access to the deepest, most powerful coaching you can bring. So just to recap, first, rapport, connection, just a way to connect intimately, deeply, with a sense of fun, a sense of humor, just a way to just connect. Second, context. Put a context over this call. This is what this is about. If they're not familiar with coaching, I might even explain. I might say something like this. This is what coaching means for me. I might even draw a distinction. They might be familiar with therapy and consulting. Look, you've had therapy before? For me, that's when I would be diving into your past to sort of resolve the deep inner issues that you've got going on. We may touch on some of those, but for me, we don't need to go there. I'm not so interested in the past and what's been happening. Then there's the work of a consultant. A consultant is to say, look, here's where I've been on my path, and I'm going to take you there. I know the 17 steps that will get to where I am. Well, I don't do that because you're the expert on your life, your business, your relationships. And I'm working with you. So what I'm interested in is the future that you want to get to and the present where you are right now and the gap between them. Because what I'm really good at doing is helping my clients bridge that gap. What I've seen is that gap between your present and where you want to go is often far, far smaller than you could ever imagine. So that's context. Then I go into agreements. Serving versus pleasing, high flame, coaching, being really authentic, hide nothing, hold nothing back. Maybe there's another agreement you might have. Then I'd invite them. Any questions that you have for me? Then I'd Safeport them. I'd check in with them. How much time do you have? Here's where we might go in the call. Here's what I'm probably going to do about 90 minutes in. And notice that too. If you coach somebody for 2 hours and you get to the end and there's 7 minutes left, you can't get to a place of like, great, let's talk about what it would look like for us to work together. And some coaches will rush that and they'll miss it or they'll let it go. Sometimes I'll say that. Other times I won't. Other times I'll just dive in deep. And at the end of 2 hours, if they say, what would it look like to work together? I'll say, you know what? That's a powerful conversation. Let's have that one separately. Let's block out another call. And every once in a while, I'll say, let's take 10 minutes break. Go and take a break, walk around, move your body. And now then we'll call me back in 10 minutes. Share with me your biggest insight. And if you still want to talk about what it would look like for us to work together, I'll answer all your questions. And then you dive into your deep coaching. Have fun. Enjoy. Play. You know, the power of deep coaching is that you really can rock somebody's world. When you rock somebody's world, when you shift the way they see their world really does change. And if you do that, and it doesn't take a lot sometimes, if you do that, they'll want to spend more time with you. And that's what the game's about, right? Because when they spend more time with you, their world will shift even more. And then you get to have this ripple effect of an impact in the world. It's pretty cool.